Hi, my name is Daniel Posney, and this is called Shifting Perspectives. And I call myself the ultimate potential coach because that's what I do. And I work on more of a holistic manner to work on different aspects of the being to elevate and to raise the vibration of that being. And just something that I've um, encountered and journeyed on throughout my life, and just sharing with you what I've learned, and hopefully that resonates with you. So today, before I get started, I just want to let you know what's happening. Valerie and I are going to be doing a breathwork and sound journey for 2.5 hours on New Year's Eve in 2023, and it's going to be $55, and it's about an hour or so of breath work and about an hour or so of sound journey. And what a way to kind of bless the previous year and then go into the new year. So that's going to be there in Sedona at our studio at 1785 Highway 89A, number 1C is in cat. And you can go to our sanjalihealingarts.com and buy tickets there. And the other thing that's been going on is I've been attracting nurses and doctors for healing work, and specifically for healing emotional trauma and clearing negative energy and breath work. So I found that really fascinating and really cool how you start to attract certain fields of industry or different states, all kind of in the same time period. And I just think it's really cool for a medical doctor to come in and say, I need some help here. And this is something that I don't know how to work on myself. And that's a big deal for someone that is focused on allopathic medicine and what they've learned and what they've been educated on, and to have the courage to expand their knowledge base on something to not only to affect them, but also to be a better doctor for their patients, essentially. And then the nurses that I just did a breath work with, man, they had such an amazing experience. And here they are, they're in the front lines and in front of people, and um, being that such a caretaker for people. And doesn't it make much great sense to do something for yourself so that you can clear your energy and become a greater vessel for Christ consciousness, healing, and presence? So I get really excited about anyone that shows up, but it's really exciting that these different industries start showing up kind of all at the same time. Let's see. What we're going to talk about, what I'm going to talk about is what our greatest fear is. And I know that the biggest fear is death. That's just a given. But what's our greatest fear? Why don't we, or why do we go into something like breath work or some kind of healing work with this nervousness? And, there's a little bit of, there's excitement, but there's also nervousness. And the nervousness comes from the old self, the old version of self. The excitement comes from the new, yet to be embodied self. So the old self is saying, what am I going to lose? What's going to happen to me? And if we really tune into that, we can kind of see how that's the case. So the greatest fear about healing has to do with our greatest truth. And I was hearing this on a recording I was listening to just the other day called The Way of Mastery. And The Way of Mastery is a set of recordings that were done decades ago. They're supposed to be channeled wisdom, excuse me, channeled consciousness from Christ. And when you listen to it, I mean, when you first think about it, it's like, how could that be? But if you really think about what Christ is a consciousness, and it has no physical form, that it can go and be expressed in any way that needs to. It could be you, could be me, could be a plant, could be a cow. It's consciousness, is not a physical form. And that's what I understand as Jesus Christ as, is the expression of that. So when it comes in, it may seem like, is this blasphemy or something, or is this kind of weird, too weird? But when you really, really look into that and start listening to it, It's not religious dogma. It's not rules. It's just this truth and this consciousness and this wisdom that when I listen to it, it's constantly feels so good. And it's not building me up through motivation. It's just telling me the truth, and sometimes the truth that I won't accept on my own. And so one of these recordings was talking about how our greatest fear is, well, let's before I go right into that, I kind of want to do a little meditations to kind of get all of us in the right frequency to allow this. So let's just close our eyes, take a deep breath, and allow your gates to come down. Allow your walls to come down as gently. Just look into your mind, into your mind's eye, and just imagine that the doors opening, the gates opening, the walls descending. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Imagine that you can see way in front of you to the horizon, whether that's you want to visualize the land or visualize the ocean. As far as you can see the horizon with nothing in the way. And every time you have a resistant thought, imagine seeing a wall being created. And then as soon as it starts being created, you just kind of brush it aside with your hand. And then you take another deep breath. Now think about smiling from the inside for no reason whatsoever. And what I want you to keep in the back of your mind is sort of a secret tool is that no matter what comes up in the form of resistance or questioning, that you say to yourself, even though that may be true, I'm open. Even though my mind may think this is true or may not agree with this, I'm open. So I would like you to imagine that you have gone back in time, that you could actually remember you as a baby. And you as a baby has no conditioning yet. You don't define yourself. You don't even have that concept of me and others. It's just wonder and curiosity. See if you can tap back into that. What that baby might be doing is very little thinking. It's just this wonder and discovery. And as it gets more and more used to its body, it starts learning what the body can do. It can move its arms and stretch its legs and maybe even turn over. Woohoo! Maybe it gets up on his knees and it starts rocking back and forth. I remember my daughters doing this, rocking back and forth. And I remember one of them started crawling backwards before she could crawl forwards. Imagine that discovery. Oh, I'm able to change my environment by moving my body. Now, imagine or remember before you were a baby. Imagine what that might have felt like. Maybe even before the womb. It's okay if you can't remember. Not many people can remember that. But just you can imagine what it would be like without a body. And you wouldn't really be in learning and discovery and wonder as much as just anything that's before that. So that would be called awareness, beingness. Now let's go back to being a baby again. The beingness, the awareness goes into the space, into this form, and starts to learn and starts to evolve and educate itself and experience. And there's this continual curiosity and wonder. And then the next part of the development is this development of the mind and of the identity of you as a baby, as a new being. And these little ideas start to be presented to you, the awareness. And it's sort of saying to you, how did that make you feel? Ah, maybe love isn't such an easy thing to get. I was really hungry and I didn't get fed. What does that mean about me? Who am I? What am I? Oh, I'm the one that can't be fed, or I'm the one who isn't lovable. And all those new ideas start to be created. And that's the beginning of this definition of your identity, of who you perceive yourself to be. And just a little while ago, it wasn't there. And now it's here. A little while ago, it wasn't there. And now it's here, getting stronger, getting more intricate, getting more detailed. And as you grow and grow, you see how other people act and react and respond to pain and communication. And so sometimes you copy them. And this continues for months and then years and then decades. And it's all this distortion of reality. It's never, imagine how much of it is not really based out of fact, but just really based out of a perception that was presented to that little baby, to that little being. And then from that original perception, original idea, everything was built upon that. And then now realize that the basic understanding of being a person is all based on this perception, on this identity of yourself. Everything that you believe yourself to be, because you were born in America, you think a certain way. Because you were born in Syria, you think a certain way. Africa, China, Brazil, Mexico, all with certain tendencies and customs and cultures and how they view men and how they view women, how they view children. Now, deep, deep inside of you, I want you to tap into this, something that you may not think about very much or may not be aware of very much at all. When you vibrate at such a high frequency, when you evolve your consciousness, when you connect yourself with all that is, you come home to your true home. You can call it God, you can call it source, you can call it oneness, all the same. But the identity of the sufferer and the victim doesn't match that. It can't be there at the same time. So in some of us, there's this feeling, and it's beautiful to connect with people. I can connect. I've been where you're at. You've been in the shit. I've been in the shit. I know that place. I love you. And I don't judge you because I've been there. It's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place of compassion and empathy. And it connects us sometimes. But it becomes an identity. It's a story. I am this way. I have this connection. This is me. And somewhere deep, 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 deep inside of us is this realization that if I go home, when I go home, that will be gone. And I know it will happen when I die, but I don't want to do that before I die. I can't help doing it when I die. So that's where the greatest fear comes in, is when I die. But it actually can come in before then, when I'm anticipating a healing session or a breath work or some kind of transformational experience. The reason why we don't fully let go. When I say breathe like you want to see God, breathe like you really want healing, ask for healing. Why do we stop? Why do we just barely breathe and not go all the way? Because somewhere deep inside of us, if we were to accept complete and utter healing, we'd have to let go of that part of ourselves. And we believe deep inside that if we didn't have that, we would cease to exist. And the only part of us that has a problem with that is our egoic mind. But the truth of who we are doesn't connect with that, does not compute. It's not a part of its reality, because it doesn't take itself as just existing with the mind or with the thoughts and the beliefs and the programs and the identity. It sees itself like an actor would be in a play. The person playing the role of the actor and the role of the person in the movie or the play knows that when that play is over, that movie is over, it continues to exist. The character in the play doesn't exist anymore. It's not required. The actor has had a great time playing that character, but now it's done. But the actor doesn't cease to exist. But in our day-to-day life, in our human life, the mind doesn't understand this. And in fact, to keep the thing driving even more into existing as an identity, we go into a severe egoic state. Drama, suffering, pain, victim. I am here. This is me. This is my suffering. This is my story. I want to tell it to you over and over. Because it believes somewhere in there. Now, the mind is not going to admit this, but the mind is going to say, no, this is real pain. This is real suffering. I've had this. But the real, if you look beyond that, what the real issue is if that person, if that egoic self could somehow release all that, it believes that it wouldn't exist. And that's a death. That's an ego death. So I invite you to just, with love and compassion and maybe a little giggling, to look at that part of yourself. I knew I needed to look at that within myself. Why is it that sometimes I don't go all the way? Because if I'm really honest with myself, I look inside and I say, if I were to meditate 3 hours a day, do yoga every day, do qigong every day, really super, super eat healthy, really evolve in every single way that I can, and not do anything that's of a lower consciousness, there's a belief that I would lose this identity of Daniel, that people wouldn't be able to connect with me anymore. Well, Daniel, he thinks he's all that, or Daniel, he's too out there. I can feel my heart beating. But that doesn't happen. What actually happens is that you become happier. You are the creator of that. You are a creator of that life that you're living. Yes, God, creator, is animating in your form and experiencing all of it, but you are a creator in it. And if you're concerned about losing yourself in your experience, in your enlightenment, you won't lose yourself. If you have worries about becoming so enlightened that you become a guru of gurus and you go on the road and you become famous, if you have a concern about becoming too disconnected with God, you won't. But that's the story that your mind gives you. It's the story that the mind gives me is, what if this happens? What if you're going to lose yourself? You're not going to be the same person. But it never happens. I just get to be happier. And I'm evolving at the pace that I want to evolve. So next time you go into a healing session and breath work, or some kind of moment that you receive some kind of spiritual epiphany or enlightenment or awakening, fully let it in, fully engage with it. If you are meant to disintegrate yourself into oneness from that experience, and you're ready for it and you evolve enough for that, it'll be the right time. But if you're not, you won't. You'll just have another thing to look back on and realize your God connection. So my perspective now on that whole feeling is that, yeah, there is a little part of me that's my fear, is if I evolve so much, or if I let go of any story that is not healing, or is connected with more pain and suffering and story and all that, victim and insecurities, if I let all of that go, then I'll lose my identity. My perception of it now, my opinion of it now, is that I won't. I won't. I'll just continue on doing what I'm doing, being happier, being clear, more clear, more clear. And then even this idea of going home, that you are going to evolve so much that you won't have anything left to tie you to here, and you're going to go home. Well, what if you're not really here anyway? What if you never went anywhere? What if you're still there in the presence of Source? What if your consciousness is projecting a dream and you're still home experiencing it? Then what would you do? If you knew that you never went anywhere and you were projecting into a dream, man, you would do everything in that dream to have a good time and open up and experience, and imagine that you could end that dream going, wow, I'm so glad I really got into that. I really went into that dream. Do I want to try another? So then the words that might come out of your mouth is, how can I serve? How can I project the energy of love? How can I help heal my brothers and my sisters by healing myself, by allowing more love into my life? Just for fun, I want to read you something. This is also from the Way of Mastery. And the question was, when someone asks you, who are you? Instead of saying, I'm Daniel, you say, I am the extension of love and form. I have never been born, and I will never taste death. I am infinite and eternal. I shine forth as a sunbeam to the sun. I am the effect of God's love, and I stand before you to love you. That's crazy. That's some good stuff. Can you imagine saying that? You, like he says, you might get some raised eyebrows, but I like that. I am the extension of love and form. I stand before you to love you. Wow. So that's where I would add on, even though, even though my mind has a hard time with this, that is who I am. Even though my mind gives me all these reasons not to say this, that is who I am. It's not an egoic thing. It's not anything that's not true, but my mind has a hard time with it because it wants the opposite. It wants to stay in the opposite. So meditate on that one and realize that anything that feels like resistance, feels like fear and contraction, is not true. It's not love. All right. That's all I have. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed that. I love you. Thank you. Bless you.